Okay guys, we are into part 6 of the tutorial. And now we're moving into connecting the quiz and front page and all that. Now, this is also going to be going over performing segues and listening for segues. That's actually a very important thing to learn when actually developing for iOS. So all this front page does is start press. Now we're using this actually to create constructors and to pass in variables. What is the one thing that we need? Well, we need a var quiz. So a var quiz module going to be equal to a quiz equals quiz dot. Oh, we need a big quiz. Quiz dot init. Boom, that's set up. Now what we're going to do is for every one of these, we're going to make another quiz module. Now how we're going to set this up is very important because how we're going to set it up, you need 100% make sure that you're passing through the segues or else this will crash the app. So, set up this thing called the quiz module. Set it to be quiz, but this time we're going to use this exclamation point. Now this exclamation point is very important for what it's doing. So what we're telling Xcode, if you see here, is that we know that for all you see is a variable, but I am telling it that quiz module exists. Now currently if we run it and we actually segue over, if we try to call quiz module, it will crash. So what do we do? Well, we have to go down here, and you see a handy dandy little thing it gave us. Is this prepare for segue? What's going on here? What's that? Well, you know how we're using our segues earlier? Well, we can use those to detect when we're moving. And we actually use that to send data back and forth. We have created this quiz. We don't need to create anything else. The quiz creates everything for us. So it's the very next thing we do. As you see in our storyboard, nothing is actually showing there. We don't need to do anything. We need to send it over. But how do we know when we're sending it over? Well, variable seg equals segue dot segue dot destination. We're doing that now. To just properly show you guys how to do it, you do if segue dot identifier is equivalent to segue right here to start the quiz. And remember, don't forget the quotes. So start the quiz. So if it is that, then we set that as, and we're going for start the quiz. So this is going to be the quiz view controller. What that's saying is, hey, this is where we're going, and this is the destination, and it's what the destination is. So what does that give us access to? Well, before we even load it up, I can do seg dot quiz module and make that equal to self dot quiz module. What am I doing? I'm actually overwriting the code inside of quiz view controller before it gets there to make the quiz module equal to the quiz module inside of the component. So from view controller to view controller, we're presetting what that quiz module did. Then we have full access to that ability. So cool, the quiz module. What next? We're now on the quiz. What do we have? Well, we have table views that we haven't set up. Now it's taking in all the data. But our data is incorrect. So we need to set the data based on the quiz. So how do we do that? Well, one thing we need to do is we need to make this array be something else. So we're going to do something morph array. And in the morph array, we're actually doing something very special. That's going to be kind of fun. So all we're going to do is we're going to make quiz answer list equal. And here's a cool thing to do. So you have that class. You have all the functions. Give current question, give questions, blah, blah, blah. Quiz answer list, yeah. We're using quiz answer list. So give current answer. I need the answers. That's what we forgot to do. That's actually a very important thing to do. Oh wait, no, it's in the question. Again, you gotta remember how you set up things up sometimes. So we give the current question. So give current question dot give choices. Boom. Now what do? We have a table. So morph array. So that happened. Well, that does one thing. Remember, method should do one thing. Well, function that question. Well, that's weird. So function set question, what do we do? Well, if you see over here on the label, way up here, not up there, right here, we have question label. We also have count label and all that. So question label. We need to set this. So question label dot text equals this module dot give current question dot give question. So we set the question. What else do we need? We need to set the count. So function set count, and we have count label dot text needs to be equal to the quiz module dot give current count total question count. Now for this one also we need to actually make this a string. So what we're doing right now is we're overriding it. So if you ever do something like string, then parentheses are around an object, we're going to make it a string. We set the count. Oh, are we missing anything else? Anything else? Well, we are. And that's more of setting it up on the storyboard to go back to. Again, if you look at it, we thought we were done, but we aren't. This count label, how it's set up, isn't just one, it's both. So what do we have to do? We have to append data together. So set count. Well, now we can't do this. But what we can do is var temp equals that string. Actually, we're going to temp dot append. Now, doing this for a reason. Var temp equals blah blah. Gonna make it easier if we do it like this. We have temp.append, but first we're going to have to append, and if this one we have to do another string, and quiz module dot give current question. Question value. Give current question value, and then again making it self-string. And then in between this, I actually need to add one more appendage. And that is that. So we set the count. And we have that temp. So what do we do now? We go to the count label and we dot text and we make it equal to the temp variable, and then temp disappears. We've set the count. We've set the question. We have morphed the array, or we can do this to set choices. What else do we have to do? So let's go back. Let's see. So we have all the answers. We have count, and we have the question. Okay, well then we need something to call this, but one function does one thing. So we'll call this the setup function. Very simple to do. And now here's the fun part. This where we take in the check. If you remember, we had a Boolean set up a while ago for this very reason. So if check, we're going to set up everything else, and this is very, very important, we're going to perform a segue. Now what segue are we going to perform? We're going to perform the segue that takes you from quiz to end. And the center is going to be nil. To perform the segue with an identifier quiz to end. But the other one, what we're going to do is we're going to set count, we're going to set question, we're going to set choices, and then what is the very last thing we need to do? You're actually probably wondering this, what's going on? But we have to reload the table data. So we have to get our table name, which is quiz table. So quiz table dot reload data. Now what this does is it reloads the table view. So since the table view is grabbing from this array, it ends up resetting to the new setup. And then on view to load, we can do a setup. And the check is going to be the quiz module dot boom, 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 boom. Move to next question. Will we move to the next question? If it's true, we will move to the next question. And before any of this happens, the setup does that once. Now your question is, okay, well we didn't make it move ever. This isn't really moving, is it? You're correct. What do we have to do? Well, the thing is, we don't have anything happening when you just select the row. So let's make it select the row. So we have the selection of the row. So what's going to happen? Well, we're going to set the current answer to that. So, do we have an answer set up? No. Okay, well, we need that. Let's make that happen. Var answer check equals, let's just have nothing at the moment. Or, it won't mean anything. Now, when we reload data, what we can do is in the set choices option, give choices that give choices quiz answer, can do the answer check is equal, and now get this, to the first one. Now, why are we doing this? Just so it makes it a little bit more fun. That's just how we're going to have it set up. That's just how we're doing it. You don't have to do it that way, but it kind of messes with people a little bit. So we have all this. And now we did select. So what's going to happen in the selection? Well, we need to set the answer check. The answer check will be equal to the quiz answer list at that index path of selection. So now the answer check is set to that. Okay. But we don't have it set up so it automatically pushes through. Now in the main storyboard, we have this button for a very specific reason. And that button is the actual button that pushes data on. I know it's a little bit messy, but if you look over here, we have that action submit. So what's that going to do? Well, we're going to make a function here and then make it call it, and then work on the function. The function choose answer. So what's going to happen? Well, we're going to first see if that answer is correct. So quiz module dot input answer. It's going to get really crazy. So give current question dot check answer and answer check. Whole lot going on. Weird, but don't worry about it. This exact thing will completely set it up so it checks the answer. So we just, what did this do? Well, this gave us the correct value or incorrect value and incremented. If we look back at quiz, when we input the answer, if input is correct count plus 1 equals 0, or plus equal 1. Okay, so now we need to move it, because if we do this, we're going to incorrect count unless we move it. Okay. So, what do we do? What do we do? Well, if you remember back in quiz, we can move next question. It does it for us. Now let's go back to setup, how I had it. Calling on blah, 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 that actually needs to be true. Because the first one may have gone a little overkill on how good we're doing that there. A little bit too much efficiency sometimes. Give correct count. Move to next question. So if we can move to the next question, it will give us a Boolean and it'll already move the next question. Now you're seeing into a little bit of issue of confusion when we don't set it up to do exactly one thing. This is actually doing two things. It saves us time in programming and calling, but it can cause confusion if you don't catch it. We did setup, we did the choose answer. Okay, so what's happened with setup? Well, if the quiz ends, we perform the segue. What we're going to do is the perform segue. Well, we have to catch it again. So if we go back to the front page where we just were, we can actually select all of this and then loop it down. Command C. Go back to storyboard. Grab the segue once more. This one's a little bit longer, guys. We just got to keep on going through. This will be the last video and quiz to end. If you look at when you press this, up here at the select row, answer check equals that. Okay. But then if you press the button, you choose your answer. Okay, so choose the answer, then starts up setup because you already chose the answer. So you're gonna move on. And if segue identifier equals quiz.end, we're gonna set it as a quiz view controller. Well, that's not right. We can't set it as a quiz view controller. What this is going to be is the end view controller, but it still works. We still have the quiz model in here, already set up right there. We're gonna set the quiz model for ahead, and we're gonna move over here. And what do we got to do now? Well, we don't need this anymore. We aren't going to be segueing anywhere from this quiz. What are we going to be doing then? Oh no, yeah. What do we need to put in here that we set up? But make sure it's not doing it in the setup. Okay. And that is on view did load. We actually do need to make it reset. So quiz module dot reset, and make sure that's the yeah. Okay. I want to take that care of so we actually have it refreshing, or else it's gonna be really awkward when we get to the end. So we have correct label, incorrect label, and total label. So function set correct, function set incorrect, then easy, maybe something weird, set total, set total. Okay, so correct label dot text equals string quiz module dot give correct count. Then incorrect label dot text equals string label quiz module dot give correct. Oh, this is what we needed to add also. Didn't give the incorrect, remember, because we said we weren't going to do that, but since we are, let's add that in. The one good thing, question, count, about how classes work. You know, if there's one thing missing and you aren't, messing with these variables, you can very quickly realize what you need to give back. Return incorrect count dot nothing. Return incorrect count. You go to the end view and incorrect quiz module dot give. Now, this is one issue that you might run into. We're just going to set up the name immediately and worry about it later. So sometimes Xcode takes a bit to actually catch up. And because of that, it just will say that we don't actually have that when it does exist. And we know it exists. Don't worry about it yet. Then total. So the total label dot text equals string quiz module dot give total question count. Okay, that's all set up. But we're not calling this stuff yet. So let's function and make our setup function. Set correct, set incorrect. Now the reason we do this is because if we ever need to do a reset on the data or we change the data and we need to call up it again, we have this function set up. It's better to make your startup an actual function and then put the startup call in view.did_load and wherever, than to just completely copy and paste everything there. As you saw in our quiz, we actually did use setup multiple times. So you press play. Our build succeeded. And let's see if the quiz ends up working. And it didn't. So what's going on? And here's the fun part of troubleshooting. Unwrapping. Oh, so what did we forget to do? You guys think about this for a second. A long time ago. We forgot to move this. No, like I said, we are telling Xcode that quiz module, right here, the quiz module exists. So we'll automatically try to call. But because we didn't do from the normal startup process that we were intended for the application to start from, it doesn't exist. Now, how do we avert these issues? Well, that will be an issue for another time to go over, but that's actually database usage. We're gonna hit start. So what is 2 plus 2? 4. Submit answer. What is the capital of Indianapolis. Boom. What is 2 times 2? 8. How many fingers does your hand have? 4. And what came first, the chicken or the egg? The egg. We got 4 correct questions, 1 incorrect questions, and 5 total questions. And if we go back, it didn't reset. Well, why didn't it reset? But we said view to load. Well, this is actually bringing into the point. Now, if we do this, it will actually reset. So what happened? Now, here's the fun thing to say. View to load. But we didn't change view did appear, is what's actually going on. Now, this is a very easy change. So you do override function view did appear. And we're just going to take these two and push them over here. Now, if we rerun this, our quiz should 100% be working. Now, the view did load is whenever that data is loaded up for the first time. So when you go past it in this view, this is a view did load and appear. But what about here? We're going to go back. We only got 1 correct question, 4 correct questions. I realize that's answers, guys, also, but it resets. Why? Well, the view did appear. Now, it was already loaded, as you saw. We had persistent data from before. That's because of this concept called a stack. And that's another concept to get into later on. But to put it simply, when a navigation controller, when you pass through on the views, your data isn't lost until you back past it. Then your view is then deleted. That's it for the quiz tutorial for Swift. I hope you guys learned something with this and can use this to the best of your abilities.